Welcome to Partnerships for Profit, the podcast where we bring you inside the world of joint ventures, strategic partnerships, and powerful collaborations. Whether you're looking to expand your network, find new referral partners, or scale your business, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Good Tuesday out there, everybody. Welcome back to Partnerships for Profit. I am Will Brooks, your host for the day. And today we have a very cool guest, someone who is in my neck of the woods over here in the Metro Atlanta area. We've got Dr. Michael Wax, who is the CEO of the Injury Specialist, which is a national referral network helping injury-focused healthcare practices scale through smart referral technology. I am going to let Dr. Wax here get more into what that is, because I know that was a very brief explanation, but I know there's a whole lot more to it. Dr. Wax, good to see you, man. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm great, man. Thanks so much for giving me some time today. Tell me a little bit about the Injury Specialist and how it came to be and where the genesis of the idea was and what you guys have going on.
Yeah, well, so, this kind of founded itself out by just kind of happenstance. My partner and I, Dr. Howard Golden, and I were in practice taking care of people in a variety of different types of injuries that they had in their personal life or professional life. And kind of a natural evolution as you look at your business, we started to understand the nuances of taking care of the injured, not just from people that would injure themselves at home or at other events, but if they were injured in some sort of accident that wasn't necessarily their fault. And what do? How do they identify the problem, get the treatment, find someone to help them through this whole kind of challenge that they've found themselves in? So we started in practice. My God, I did that for over 20 years. And through the process of having multiple practices in and around the Atlanta region, we started to deep dive. And the deep dive kind of took us down a road of going, hey, there's a breakdown of communication to the person who's injured, to the doctors that treat them, to the law firms that represent them, and to the insurance companies that kind of put the whole thing together.
So you guys are you guys are solving that breakdown.
Yeah. So kind of what happened, Will, was we were just a part of it, right? We were just a part of it. And what we noticed was every time we talked to some of our friends in the system. So as an example, I'm a doctor taking care of one part of this person's injury care. Right. Then I'd have to refer it to another doctor for something that they did that was different than me. So let's say that I'm taking care of some of their pain at the entry level care, but I need an orthopedic surgeon to take care of a shoulder injury. I need a spine surgeon. I need a doctor that takes care of a concussion, or an MRI center or a surgical center, whatever these things are that I didn't have. When I made that referral, I'd have to trust and know that this doctor was the right fit for the patient, number one, and that they understood this ecosystem, which was at the time new for us. Mm-hmm. What I found out was there was very few at the time, and we started this back in, we really launched 2006, but go back to like before 2006. So let's call it 2002, 2003. There are very few physicians in the Atlanta region that would actually be involved in this type of case, because a lot of these people did not have insurance, like a health insurance that was directly connected to them. So the doctors are working in a sense on this word called a lien or an LOP, a letter of protection, which essentially said, I'm going to extend out care. And then if the case resolves in a positive manner, I'll get paid down the road. Well, that was just a foreign concept to a lot of physicians. So we had to kind of understand the industry, understand the friction points and the roadblocks to create what we now have today. But a long time ago, it was just understanding the basics of allowing these patients to go outside of our own practice and get care at other places.
So how are you guys, is there a vetting process for getting people into your network to make sure that they're, going to do a good job? Like how does that work? It's gone national at this point, right? You're not just, this is not just in the Atlanta area at this point, right?
No, and it's almost every other week that we're entering a new state. We're around 23 states right now. No, there is a vetting process. In fact, that's the great thing about this is from the quality of the provider side, we're very careful to kind of understand the foundation of a doctor's experience in this industry. So we want to know who they are. We want to look at their background. We want to look, do they understand this level of documentation? Because it's not the same as traditional insurance type cases. They have to understand the nuances for this type of care.
So is it what you were talking about as far as how, the care is being paid for? Is it kind of the same with personal injury lawyers? They're getting paid on a contingency fee basis, depending on, if the case settles. Is that how this works for these types of doctors as well? Like, is that what you were saying? They're kind of like, you're going to get paid when the settlement comes through. Is that kind of the idea?
That's correct. That's correct. And initially, that was a really hard concept for a lot of doctors to understand.
I could imagine so.
Yeah, because a lot of doctors are just used to, hey, when the patient's done the treatment at the time of the office visit, to pay either by insurance and or a credit card or cash.
So question for you on that end, if the settlement doesn't go the patient's way, what happens then as far as paying for that care?
Yeah, well, technically the doctor is expecting payment regardless of the outcome.
Right.
So the doctor is not only going to get paid if the case settles, right? They're there, they provided the care. So if the case has a negative impact, the patient's still responsible. That's just the nature of it.
Right.
But in a lot of situations, the cases do settle. There is a positive outcome, and the providers that treated or extended that care do get paid.
Are there lawyers involved in this network as well, or is this all just physicians?
No, this is lawyers too, and there's other entities within this organization that help and support within the ecosystem.
So is it if someone's injured, they haven't seen a lawyer that yet, they come to see a doctor who's in this network, that doctor could then refer them to an attorney? Is that kind of work both ways? Okay.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So I'm guessing you got vetting for the attorneys as well. Talk to me a little bit about the scaling. You said you're in 23 states right now. When did you guys kind of expand out of Georgia, and how did that look for you? Tell me what were some of the challenges you guys ran into in expanding this out on a wider scale?
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing, and this is really important. The technology platform that we built is really the center focus of what we're talking about, because in order to scale a business, even within the state that we're in or any state, you've got to have something to help you grow and connect all the parties. So we've been coined the LinkedIn of personal injury, meaning we have a technology platform that lists the doctors that treat on this side and the law firms that represent and imaging centers and all the other service solutions within the middle.
Right.
As well as affiliates that are products and services that help either the physicians or attorneys just do a good job at what they do, really. So, but it's the technology platform that allows those referrals to flow back and forth so that it's easy, right? So we're all busy. In fact, doctors usually have their own software that they're working off of, and law firms have their own software. But this is an independent model that allows the continuity of care. It allows some case management to occur. It allows the connection that's usually fragmented and disconnected to connect.
That's amazing. How many members do you guys have right now?
Hundreds and hundreds across the country. It's every week we are growing. It seems like in almost a dozen more per week.
That's great. Very cool. So what's the outreach for you guys? How are you reaching out to people to come into the network? How does that look for you guys? How are you expanding?
Yeah. So a lot of it is actually the members introducing us to other folks within the industry, because what they realize with doctors that treat and the law firms that represent, everybody wins when this thing grows so they can get access. So if you're in a big area like Texas, we're in Texas and a bunch of other states, but that's a massive state, right? So in the big cities, these big cities are, Houston is 5 times larger than Atlanta. Dallas is
Right.
3 times larger than Atlanta. They're big. And the bigger you get, then there's these little towns and little cities on the outskirts that everybody struggles to find provider care. We just connect all these places together on our technology platform. So a lot of this is this members telling other members. We, of course, attend events and we support the different trial lawyer associations, medical groups, and chiropractic groups that are out there. And we're out on the road. I just came back from Florida. We were in Texas. We're all over the country.
That's great. So I want to talk a little bit about data. You said that data is transforming how referrals are managed. What are some insights that you've discovered that most practices are still overlooking when it comes to data?
Well, I mean, that's a deep, deep subject. I mean, some people don't track at all, right? And you're kind of amazed when you look at this, when you start to use words like KPI, right? You're trying to understand the data that's in front of you. But I think from the simple terms are, when you're a practitioner or a law firm or any it really doesn't matter. It's any businesses. There are some fundamentals in data that you should be tracking. It. Where are your referrals coming from? How come these referrals matter to your business, right? And how do you get more? What should you do, right? So when I was in practice, we joined health insurance companies, Blue Cross, Cigna, Aetna, all these things. And there was this expectation that when you became a provider, that you have a natural stream of referrals that would come to your practice. Well, that simply didn't happen. We joined, and then you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're waiting, but so is everybody else in the same area, right? So everybody was a part of the same ecosystem, and it didn't work like that. So you have to join something and be a part of something that there's some level of, I'm not going to use the word exclusivity, but let's say it's not flooded by everybody. So you're the last in line to be considered. So you have to understand that part of the data does matter too.
Gotcha. So you mentioned that you called the business the LinkedIn of personal injury, which sounds very cool. It sounds very niche, like as niche as a social media. I think of LinkedIn as a social media network. I mean, is there a social aspect to what you guys are building as well? Is there in the platform, is there a way for these people to kind of communicate with each other?
Yeah, we have the ability because there's a lot of moving parts in these situations, and people just need education. So for the community side, we do a lot of education. We host talks, virtual talks where I'll have a panel of people talking about different subjects that they're experts in. So the other members can listen in, or I'll lead a talk or a discussion. So and ask questions that I think are pertinent for the community, and it goes out across the nation for our members.
That's cool. And you mentioned to me before we came on the pod, do you have, is it a podcast that you have where you're interviewing all your members, or is it just something that's internal?
No, it's like doing a Zoom call, right? And just it's live though. It's just kind of like what you and I are doing now, but then I'll have a couple hundred of our members on, and they get FaceTime. They get to ask questions depending on how many people are on the call, but it's really around connecting.
That's amazing. Yeah. I imagine that's going to strengthen the referral network for sure, if they have a chance to talk with each other and communicate. I want to talk a little bit about some lessons you've learned from the growth that you guys have had. What's the biggest learning curve as a founder leading this company while still staying? What's the biggest learning curve you found in growing the company, and still being able to stay true to your medical roots?
Yeah. So check back with me in a couple of years because it's been a wild ride. You asked me a question earlier and I didn't answer it, is when did you start? Well, we had been inside of Georgia for around 17 and a half years. So around a year and a half ago, we started expanding, and it's been a massive ride. And how that expansion also started is some of our members said, hey, we're not just in this state, we're in all these other places. Can you join us? Can you expand your network to support our businesses? So we started doing that. And naturally, when you're running a business that is at a certain level, and you have a certain number of staff members and a certain kind of process, it's kind of contained. But when you say I'm going national, I'm going to grow in a few more states, now all of a sudden you need more talent, You may need an upgrade to your technology. You may need additional things that you didn't necessarily have before. So I think the way this happens is, and then you reach out to consultants to kind of help you say, hey, listen,
Right.
I'm doing this. I need a coach that's already been here. It doesn't even have to be in the same industry necessarily, but someone that's expanded or helped someone else expand before. So all those things are things that we lean into is, hey, we're doing this thing, but we need help doing this and expanding.
And so you didn't expand out of Georgia. And did you say a year and a half ago was when the
Yeah.
expansion starts? In a year and a half, you've moved into 23 different states.
Yes.
So what's the plan for all 50? What's the time frame? Do you have that in mind? Or
No, I don't.
It happens when it happens?
I really don't have a time frame because it's literally we're getting these asks every single week, and so it's not something that I need to have a plan for. It's just happening as part of the ecosystem of the growth. I was just in Florida and just got back the other day, and I met someone that's joining our network that has she's in multiple states as an attorney, and she's not just in Arizona, and she's in Florida, and so it's just a natural progression of the people that we're meeting that want to be a part of what we're doing.
Is it just personal injury lawyers that you have in there as far as legal goes, or do you have workers' compensation lawyers in there as well? Or
we do. So because we're taking care of the injured, we do that. But a lot of law firms have multiple, kind of platforms within it. So that law firm can advertise within our ecosystem for workers' comp, for personal injury, for criminal, or for immigration, whatever they're doing, we're going to list it. So they get a full listing. The practice that's treating the injured gets a full listing. The law firm that's representing gets a full listing. So they can get referrals that fit essentially anything that they're doing in their practice.
are there vendors that are included in the network as well that are not necessarily service providers to the injured, or is it strictly just people that are helping out injured people?
No, well, what we learned along the way is you actually do need those vendors. And this great thing that you asked is, along the way of building this business, we identified that there are solutions that one side or the other or both need, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not necessarily treating the patient, but they're offering a service, a valuable service. And it's expanded. We have things that are like transportation company services and pharmacy and wealth management companies and life care planning and all the things that occur within this industry that are there as a support mechanism to that injured patient's journey. And then, of course, now to our members' journey, because as we grow, we're listening to what our members want and need, and we're providing that as well.
That's amazing. I love that. Yeah, because you were talking about consultants and coaches and people like that can help fill holes where you have them as you're growing, and all those businesses need them. I mean, that's what we do. We work with law firms primarily, and we work on, I think if you've talked to Dr. Golden, maybe what we do in our business. But I mean, it sounds like an amazing platform for connection. And I mean, obviously for referrals, that's obviously the lifeblood of what you guys are doing. But it sounds amazing. And the growth is incredible. 23 states in a year and a half. I mean, so when did you guys officially launch when did you launch the injury specialist in Georgia?
Yeah. So 2006, in fact, next
year. It was
year.
2006. Okay. So it was that long ago.
So yeah, 2006. So next year is our 20th year. We're just kind of crossing into that now. We've been at this a long time. And it's been a fun ride, man. And we're still as jazzed up as supporting our customers' businesses and helping them grow. Because here's the thing, right? And it doesn't matter the industry. We're all trying to build. The question is how are you going to do it, right? You're going to do it all by yourself, or you're going to join a few different things to help you grow.
I love that. I love the idea of helping. We work with so many people, or so many people contact us and want to know what we do. And the first thing I like to tell people is, if I can't help you with what you guys need, if it's not something that we do, I know someone who can help you for sure, and share that information and put them in front of the people that can help them. And it sounds like that's a lot of what the mission is behind what you guys are doing is let's help each other. There's
exactly what we're doing.
There's so much. I shouldn't say business because these are people, but there's so many people so many people who are injured that need help. There's plenty of this stuff to go around, and having that abundance mindset with this is great. It feels like that's kind of what you guys are leaning into.
It is. And there's one more part of this origin story that I didn't share with you. And a lot of people don't even know. I don't even know if my partner always remembers this or even knows this. But my father was injured in a work injury. He was a teacher in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia. And as he was nearing his 38th year in teaching, he broke up a fight between, it was a middle school that he was a teacher at for 38 years, same school.
Wow.
And he broke up a fight of these two kids, and he got pushed down and he injured his lower back. And as he sought out care from different providers, he decided to go to a provider that was a good technician to treat, but didn't necessarily understand the nuances of documentation. So when that case was going through the litigation side, because it was a work injury case,
Right.
The doctor's notes did not meet the standards to get my dad to what we call at full pension level. So, and it came down to the documentation of the injury and those words that either create value or take away from value on these cases. So my dad's pension, instead of being 100%, 2 years from retirement,
Right.
was 60%. So he didn't get what he worked his entire life for, not because he didn't suffer from the injuries. The doctor didn't know how to document it in that way. So when I learned about that, and I think I was a student at the time, right, in school and going through and learning about, I had no idea about this world. I thought all doctors were the same. All documentation was the same. Had no idea, right? So that when I figured out what we were doing, it became this burning desire of making sure that the doctors, at least in my program, understood the value that they have and the key that they play a role in these people's lives. And that's kind of the origin story of how this began for me on my side.
And that's part of the educational process, I'm guessing, that's included in what you guys are doing is teaching these guys, hey, the proper documentation to be using to be, because I mean, as a medical provider, when you're dealing with people who are injured, and it's a personal injury case, do you have to kind of code switch and think about like it in terms of how it's going to be presented in court, or how do you ride that line between that and providing the right kind of care? I don't know that all doctors think about it in those terms. It's just like, I need to, first and foremost job is to make sure you're better, is to make sure is to heal you. Right. But thinking about all the documentation and whatnot that goes into it, I guess that's where the attorney comes in and is able to communicate with the doctor how this needs to be worded. Is that how that works? Or,
well, again, it's not even that complicated, right?
Yeah.
It's so you're making it seem like it's super complicated. And I thought it was super complicated when I first got into it. Really, it's very basic and very easy. You're trying to tell a story, and that story is, when this patient was injured, what caused it? What was
Right.
They call that causation, and they want to know that in terms of the mechanism of injury, like what caused the injury. And so you put these pieces together as a doctor, and it's very evident that before the accident, the patient wasn't having these problems, but for the accident, now they are. Now, are there some objective tests that can be done? Yes. And those doctors should run those objective tests and determine that through objective testing, this patient is showing the injury. And we can point the finger into this one moment in time that created that. But then you've got the complicated cases where patients have some pre-existing stuff that's sitting there that either was aggravated by the impact, kind of sitting idle. Like most of us have stuff going on inside our body. Sometimes you know about it, sometimes you don't. So, but it is the doctor's job, right? So our job is to understand, are they the right fit for the program? Their job is to identify that, refer out for objective testing, and put the whole pieces of the puzzle together.
Love it. Okay. Understood. So talk to me a little bit about Dr. Wax, about the future of what you guys are doing. And I want to look ahead, and I want to know how you see technology reshaping the injury and the healthcare referral landscape over the next 5 years?
Well, man, that's a loaded question, because what we've got going on in technology and all the buzzwords about AI, and it's not just AI, right? It's automation in general, right? It's
Right.
understanding that now we're in this ecosystem that's actually, we're implying a lot of this technology and adding it to as we learn about it and how it can add value. But the goal there is efficiency and effectiveness and solutions to all of our members. And we are employing that within our technology platform. But it's so fast, right? It's so good. When anybody has started to play around with this, you can use it in your practice to be better at your job, right? And that's what we're all trying to do. So I think that technology plays a big role. I think that AI plays a big role. You just have to figure out, with all the different software programs that are opening up today, which ones are the right fit for you. And that's where kind of joining a group like us that already has certain things in place, we're not the end all be all, but it would make sense that you would try to expose yourself to a group like us.
Well, you also get the opportunity if within that network for people to share what they've used and what has and hasn't worked. So you kind of have you can kind of hear from other people. Oh, okay, I heard about this, but several people have said, no, this is not the one. I don't have to go that way. It's amazing. I love the idea of, and I don't want to simplify it too much, but I mean, it really sounds like a very niched down, I think I said this earlier, like a niche down kind of social media type of
It is.
Of network for this particular. It's a great idea. I love it. And I'm kind of surprised that you guys just kept it in Georgia for as long as you did before moving out. But maybe that's the right way to go. Kind of a slow burn before you grow, because the growth has been fast now since you moved out. So,
well, with growth comes travel, and I have 2 little kids and a family, and I wanted to make sure that they were big enough and old enough that when I started to travel a little bit, that I had spent a lot of time with them and was incredibly influential. And now that they're starting to climb out of that next and into the next phase, I'm able to do a little bit of that travel. But I'm very careful. And just to be clear, that's how technology can play a major role, is where you'd have to fly and go meet people in person for years. Now we can do what we're doing right here and start to get and do a deep dive and build relationships with technology.
The world is much smaller than it was in 2006. That's for sure. That's for sure. Dr. Wax, this has been a great conversation. I've really enjoyed having you on the show here today. I love what you guys have going on. We have an audience of a lot of attorneys, especially in the personal injury space, who check out our pod. So I want you to take a second to let people know how they can find you, how they can find the company. The floor is yours. Let people know how they can find you guys.
Yeah, first of all, to the attorneys that are watching, what's cool about this is you may be in that, that one area, or you may be in multiple areas. We would come and build the network of providers around your needs. You may have some of the needs, you may not have all the needs, or you're expanding and you're looking at a new territory. We go out and build that for you, so you don't have to do the heavy lifting. Your staff doesn't have to do that.
So it's kind of,
go ahead.
Is it customized? Is that kind of what you're saying?
It can be as customized to the individual practice as they want it or need it. Yeah.
Very cool.
So they can say, listen, I am in this state and I just got a case over here in a totally different state or city, and I need these 3 type of providers, that we can go out there and find them and bring them into the fold.
Very cool. So how do they find you? What?
Yeah. So, the injury specialist is www.theinjuryspecialist.com. Make sure injury specialist has an S at the end of it. It's plural. And you can reach us that way, or I think our phone number, if I can remember it now, 404-348-4310. I don't call it, I haven't in a long time, but I think that's how you get to us. And you could email me if you wanted to. It's Michael at theinjuryspecialists.com.
Injury specialists.
That's right.
Add that extra S, everybody. Make sure you do that. Dr. Wax, this has been great, man. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing the information, all that you guys have going on. It's super cool. I've got the website pulled up. I pulled it up before we came on the podcast today, so I'm gonna tool around in there and take a look at it, and kind of dig a little deeper into what you guys have going on. And I've got some other people that I want to get you in front of. I got some other podcasts that I want to get you on with some people that need to talk to you. So we'll talk about that off the air. But those of you who are watching the podcast out there right now live, we appreciate you guys tuning in to the pod. If you're watching the recorded version on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple, we appreciate you guys as well. We really appreciate the likes and the thumbs and the stars and all that good stuff. So please do leave us some good marks if you've enjoyed the show, and if you want to see more, that's how we can really get the word out to people about the podcast. So please do subscribe and share and all that good stuff. I'll be back here later on this afternoon with another episode with another guest who I hope brings as much good stuff to the table as Dr. Wax here has. And until then, we will see you next time right here on P4P. Take care, everybody.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Partnerships for Profit. We hope you've gained valuable insights on how to form profitable partnerships and take your business to the next level. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Got a partnership story to share or someone you'd like to see featured on the show? Reach out to us. Until next time, keep building those partnerships for profit.